is about to be warped, twisted, and blown. Pass this portal and enter the Freethought Zone.
In the house, it is Mark Mythos in the Freethought Zone, rocking the free world with another weekly episode up on the air at freethoughtradio.com, on Facebook, YouTube, blip.tv, Google Videos, and at markmythos.com. Alrighty then, we got a good show coming up, I think, for you this afternoon. Dr. Daryl Ray on the God virus. We're going to clear up this little misunderstanding about the original Pledge of Allegiance. And if you remember the story last time about, what was it, pigeons outwitting humans? Well, chickens got better eyes. And for your amusement, we're going to have the story of Susie from YouTube right here, right now in the Freethought Zone. Hey, what's shaking out there? It's Mark Mythos. With a big thank you to people listening, wherever you might be by the World Wide Web. As a matter of fact, pull up this document here. I know it's here somewhere. Aha! Moscow in the Russian Federation. Thank you for listening from Mother Russia. Some people who stop by markmythos.com in jolly old good York, England. Good day to you there. Sherwood Park, Alberta, Canada. Ramona, California. Some folks listening even in Brooklyn, New York. What do you know about that? And hola to mi amigos in Madrid, Spain. And if you're that person listening down in Perth, do I ever have something for you? A little bit of a limerick I wrote for the listener down in Perth. I knew a bloke from Perth who claimed ever since his birth he could play the didgeridoo until his face turned blue, but he didn't know what it was worth. Hey, you think that was bad? Let me hit you with another one here. I knew a bloke from Perth who had such massive girth he could only shout that he couldn't go walkabout because he's built like Papa Smurf. Fun show. I think this is going to be a really fun show today. We have a variety of topics to talk about, including the God virus. We're going to talk a little bit about memetics and what the God virus is all about. The book by Dr. Daryl Ray, The Original Pledge, and chickens. Interesting thing I saw the other day. Takes less water to make a pound of chicken than it does to make a pound of beef. By about 10 times. Pretty amazing stuff. And the little story of Susie. We're going to get into that and so much more right here in the Freethought Zone.
It's time for really dumb news.
Well, sad to see Peter Graves, the star of the 1960s legendary spy series Mission Impossible, died of a sudden heart attack in L.A. at the age of 83. Apparently, Peter had just returned from brunch with his wife and kids, and he collapsed before he made it onto the house there. According to his publicist, one of his daughters administered CPR but was unable to revive him. His family doctor visited the house and believed that he'd had a heart attack. That, according to Sandy Brokaw, his publicist. Family members were horrified, though, when a recording came out of his mouth saying, "This body will self-destruct in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hey, Simon Cowell is rich, and he's showing it by buying a Bugatti Veyron. Man, oh man, that's the world's fastest car right now. European sports car valued at over $1 million. It goes from 0 to 60 in 2.5 seconds. Really is about the same amount of time it takes Simon to bring an American Idol contestant from smiles to tears. You know, speaking of cars, Toyota investigators were unable to duplicate the problem a San Diego man claims caused his Prius to speed out of control at 100 miles an hour on a California freeway. Let's think about this. A Prius doing 100 miles an hour? I didn't know that was possible. Yeah, of course, they actually didn't drive the guy's Prius. All the Toyota officials were too damned afraid to climb into the damn thing. Ah, we're gonna die. Hey, good news in history. On this date in 44 BCE, Julius Caesar was assassinated. Yeah, what do they call that? Tyrannicide or something like that? Speaking of which, give me a moment here and I will pull up my own website. I wanted to show you a couple of new additions to the Mark Mythos website as we have it right now. Let's see, let's go to the desktop and pull that up for you here. Check this out, blip.tv. Some of these shows are going to be up there very, very soon. Blip.tv, it'll be the Freethought Zone.blip.tv. Also at Ustream, Google Videos. There's some old ones at Google Videos. YouTube as well. 10-minute segments there is all I can get. And if you go to my website, which is markmythos.com, click on that. That'll take you to my Facebook account. So, there you have it. The first story I wanted to cover here today is an interview that I found with David McAfee.wordpress.com. This is an influential interview, or an interview with an influential author, Dr. Darrell Ray. As a matter of fact, here's the entire URL if you're watching by Ustream.tv. This is an interview that he did with the author of The God Virus. Found it really telling, the sort of coverage on this particular interview and in the book. I've not read the book yet, but it does deal a lot with Christian memetics and mindsets, and how belief in a deity is, in a sense, a lot like having a virus. It's contagious, and it gets people sort of wrapped up in, and I emailed on Facebook the other day, David, a piece or some thoughts of mine on God viruses, how they use guilt and sexual shame to kind of keep you within the body of the church. The more you tend to want to explore outside the doctrines and dogma of the church, the more guilt you are instilled with. The remedy for that? More church. Sort of a circular thing. This is a discussion with Dr. Darrell Ray, the author of The God Virus. It's going viral. It's a controversial book, an awe-inspiring book, too, that's taken the country by storm. The God Virus outlines the consequences of certain religious beliefs from the point of view of a psychologist, a prominent author, and student of religious studies as well. Dr. Darrell Ray examines the virus of theism and how religions often breed prejudice and harmful superstitions. Now, you would think that they wouldn't do that. That wouldn't be a part of what happens with religion. But anytime you get into a clique or clique of any kind, there's the us group and the them group, the insiders and the outsiders, and religion does just that. Let's see. David asked him, he says, what first inspired you to write The God Virus, and do you think that the book will encourage other authors to step forward in the genre of non-theistic literature? He says, I wrote the GV because after reading Dawkins, Harris, Dennett, and Hitchens, I felt that none of them gave us a working, practical way to understand religion and live with it in our daily lives. I wanted to give people a framework that had practical and daily value to the reader, not just good arguments against gods and religions. Let me be clear, says Dr. Ray. My hat's off to Dawkins, Dennett, and others. They did a superb job of paving the way, but it was time for sort of a little more practical approach. David then asked him, what did you originally decide to study religion and its effects on society? Why? Well, Dr. Ray says, I've always been interested in human behavior and what drives it. That's why I took degrees in sociology, anthropology, religion, and psychology as well. I think it's fair to say that this is a very astute gentleman and author, too. He talks about the fundamentalist own researchers. George Barna shows that divorce rates are higher and other so-called immoral behavior is greater among religious people. Now, why would that happen to be? He says, I could see in my early years the amazing ability of religious people to behave immorally while justifying their behavior through religion. My grandmother and grandfather were among the most devout and religious people I've known when growing up, yet their racism and hatred of anyone who disagreed with their religious views was obvious to me from an early age.
Now please exit the Freethought Zone.